Hi everybody, welcome. So, in today's lesson we are going to discuss the 12 houses, or which we also call the Bhavas and Karakas. Now, what do these things mean? These are Sanskrit terms, but I'll try to translate my best in plain English parlance so that you can understand it more clearly. First, some definition of terms. What is a Bhava and what is a Karaka? The houses, which are also called houses in Western, are usually called as bhavas. Now, what is bhava? Bhava means quality or attributes of a particular house, what it signifies, what mind emotion perceives it as, what the totality of experience of a human is. Because all life is an experience. From the time you get up in the morning till the time you go to bed is a life experience every single day, hour and minute. So what is the totality of experience that is being derived? That is bhava, relative to the particular house. So related to an aspect of human life, because we have got many areas of life. So to use the word house is less of a term than the Sanskrit word bhava. Bhava in essence means perception, the totality of perception relating to a particular area of a person's life. So that's what it means. What's a Karaka? Now this took a while for me to even understand the way it is, because out there the meanings are so confusing, even for a person who knows a bit of Sanskrit like me. So Karaka means the planetary energy that works towards the provision of all aspects of the Bhava or a house. These are not to be confused with the lords of the zodiac, which I mentioned in my ascendant videos. Okay, lords are different. Karaka is the one planetary which is conveying the planetary energy which provides the fruits of a house, or provides the aspects of the house. It takes care of the energy of that particular house. They are the energies of the planet themselves, and what the planetary energies strive to provide you. So Karaka becomes in this essence the doer. It actually means doer. One who is the Karaka of something is the doer of that particular aspect. So don't confuse this. It's easily confused by the lords of the house. They are not the lords of the house. They are the Karakas of the house. So if you want to see a particular, in a chart, if you want to examine the particular qualities of a house, what it is being provided, you check for the position and the significance of where the actual planet is placed in the chart, and what the ascendant is, or what the lagna is. Lagna is the ascendant. What is a lagna and what is a Karaka, and where is the Karaka placed, the particular planet placed. That will tell you the sum total of the experience the person is going to derive. Okay, so that's the Karakas for different 1 to 12 houses. First house is the signification of sun. First house is your soul. That's where the sun shines. All souls come from the sun. So that's where it is. That's why I spent a lot of time in making the ascendant videos, because the ascendant is where your soul sun is shining. Your soul shines in the ascendant, and everything that's in the head. So everything is perceived from the head to all areas of the body, the sense of self, the ego. We will see the details of the bhavas in the next 12 slides, so you will know what each one of these house stands for. So as we said, this is the first house, this is the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on and so forth till 12th. So houses are mentioned in light color here. The planets are mentioned, symbols are given here, which you already kind of hopefully know. And I have given the planetary names as well, so that there is no confusion. Yeah. So the first house, or the where your soul resides and looks at all the rest of the parts of your life, different areas of life, yourself looks at. And thus the sun is the signifier of your soul. So sun is the Karaka of the first house. Same way Jupiter, the second house, is the Karaka is Jupiter. Now Jupiter, as you can see, is the second, the fifth, the 9th, and the 11th. So Jupiter is the significator of all things which we need in terms of knowledge, which we need in terms of wealth, in terms of wisdom, in terms of education, in terms of children, in terms of higher knowledge and wisdom, in terms of gains from the external world, our friend circle. That's why Jupiter is called the great benefactor, because it rules all the houses which provide us good things of life. So Jupiter becomes a Karaka of the second house, which is for wealth, for family, what you're born into basically, and in Navamsha it becomes after marriage. So in third house, the Karaka becomes Mars. Mars is the driver. Wherever it comes, Mars drives the energy. So Mars is the Karaka of the third house of skills, because you have to take effort in developing your skills. You need drive to cultivate skills. You need drive for communication, education. It is also the Karaka of the sixth house, which makes you work. This is daily work, which helps you combat your enemies at work. Sixth house. So Mars is the co-Karaka for fourth house as well, because Mars is also the significator for home, physical home, all things physical, vehicles, home. We'll see that later on, what each one of the houses stand for. Moon, Venus and Mars, all three co-rule the fourth house. For the fourth and 10th, there are a number of them, as you can see. For the 10th, there is Saturn, Mercury and Sun. These all are the Karakas of these particular houses. So Moon, why? Moon is because Moon can be the mother energy, the nurturing energy in the house. This is fourth house, is the house of home. It also signifies from Venus, if you want to have a lavish, nice home with good things in the house, with tenderness and benevolence, with lots of wealth. All wealth is needed to sustain a house. And Mars, why? Because you need all these vehicles, you need a physical property, all of these things are determined. If you see the birth chart, these three planets, you've got to determine how the person will fare, or what kind of property, house they will own, or what kind of cars they will drive, etc. Fifth house is for creativity, education, children, etc. is ruled by Jupiter again, which we all need to progress in life. Good education, good creativity. Sixth house, like I said, we need for Mars, which we go for daily work, because it has to have a driver. Mars is a driver energy, which we saw in the planetary energies. Seventh house, of course, becomes the Venus, because it stands for the spouse, marriage, and all the other aspects of spouses, relationship, which we have with the opposite sex. The eighth house becomes of Saturn. Why? Because Saturn co-rules all karmic houses. Eighth house, 10th house and 12th house become all karmic gains, and 11th and 8th are almost similar. They symbolize loss of material and gain of spirituality. So Saturn is like the hard taskmaster, an old shaman who gives wisdom only through hard learning. That's why it's also called as a karmic planet. It's also called as one which grows with time. Saturn is a lord of time. So 8th house, the house of sudden changes, losses, occult, hidden secrets, changes, everything is governed by Saturn. He is the Karaka of the 8th house. 9th house Karaka of higher wisdom, learning, gurus, spirituality, philosophy of life is governed by Jupiter. So in the 10th house, or house of fame, career, your work, your accomplishments in external life is governed by Saturn. Mercury, you need mind, intellect. This is the only place where Mercury figures, because you need intellect to do any kind of work in this world. Some form of intellect is required. And the Sun, because Sun desires that fame. Saturn will make you work for it, Sun will give you the fame, Mercury will make you think and act accordingly. So these are the Karakas of the 10th house, career and business, goals, accomplishments. In the 11th house of gains, social networks, friend circle, we have Jupiter again, because it's a benefactor. Last 12th house, to put it briefly, we'll see the details of the houses, which will be Saturn, is the house, loss of things, loss of money, loss of gain of spirituality. In Vedic parlance, it's always loss of one results in gain of another. Because typically if a person is caught up in all materialistic pursuits, be it relationships, jobs, career, money, whatever, they don't think about spirit and going within and examining themselves. So it's like opposite sides of the same coin. So let's see the first house. The first house, Bhava, is what? It stands for the self, the ego, the psyche. I'll quickly read through this. I've explained it in the third slide itself, but let's go quickly through this. is the ego, the psyche, the physiology, the constitution, innate nature, personality, character, temperament, power and status. This is felt through the first house. The empirical sense of self-worth, dignity, fame, splendor. You can think of all the energies of the sun also here. Splendor, general welfare, happiness, status in society, health, complexion, vitality, longevity, victory over enemies, strength, vigor and place of birth. Now each house has a intrinsic energy to it. As you can see, this stands also for some body parts, some relatives, and the maturity or age of the house itself. The house itself matures at a certain age. So the body part stands for the head and the brain. That's why I've been using in ascendants when Mercury is in your head kind of language. Relatives, mother's father and father's mother. Maturity of the house itself happens between 31 and 33 years. Before this time, nobody is really mature in their self. 31 to 33 years. The second house, ruled by Jupiter, I've given the symbols here so you can check against a chart. Second house is over there, ruled by Jupiter, or Karaka is the Jupiter. It stands for the mind as identified with the self, with fixed assets, wealth, food, drink, speech, parental family, self-created family, movable property, ornaments, jewels. Remember, this is the house of Taurus. Precious metals, clothes, vision, creative imagination, self-confidence, cheerfulness, learning and education. This is like early education. Fixity of the mind. Why fixity? House of Taurus is a fixed sign. Oral expression of knowledge. Sources of income, maintenance of others. This everything to do with bhavas of Taurus, really speaking. Body part stands for the eye, right eye, face, mouth, tongue, the face. Basically everything on the face. Relatives, parental family, self-created family and elder siblings. Second house stands for elder siblings. Third house for younger ones. Maturity age of the house is 34 to 36 years. The third house, Karaka, is Mars. This is mind as skills, communication abilities, intellectual and intellect. Third house is for intellect, ruled by Mercury. Stands for Gemini basically. But the Karaka is Mars. Because why? Because you have to take action. Mars makes you take action here. Deliberate actions, motivation, interests, hobbies. See the Mars. Sports, pleasures, assistants, servants, neighbors, short-term desires. Everything short-term desires, short-term goals, short-term contacts, correspondence, skills cultivated, even social media these days. Writing, strength, valor, courage, stamina. See, courage, stamina coming from Mars. Initiation into spiritual. This is the beginning of spiritual practices. Things heard, earrings, singing, acting talent, playing on musical instruments, manual skills, computer skills is cultivated in third house. Body part standing, throat, neck, shoulders, arms, upper part of the chest, right ear. Remember, we are going from head all the way up till feet through 1 and 12 houses. The qualities, the bhavas are like that. The relatives will be younger brothers and sisters, younger siblings. Maturity age of the house is 37 to 39 years. The fourth house, which is, as you know, ruled by moon. Karaka is the moon, Venus and Mars. There's the fourth house. This would be mind again, but as emotional connect to one's own heart. The mind felt as emotions. Remember, everything is the mind. Feelings, happiness, close friends, family members, mother. Typically it's mentioned as mother. All well-wishers, home fronts, home comforts, home country, your homeland, land and property which you gain, houses, gardens, underground treasures, wells, agricultural products, vehicles, righteous conduct. That's why Jupiter is amplified in the house of Cancer. This is the house of Cancer. Righteous conduct. How do you behave yourself? Character formation. The earliest character formation begins at home. Good name and reputation, education, erudition and ultimate results. That's why fourth house is Sattvic sign, Cancer. Body parts include the chest, lungs and heart. That's why compare the moon, heart, home, fourth house. Relatives, mother, parents and all family members. Maturity age of this house is quite late if you consider it, if you reflect on it. It's 40 to 45 years. It's quite a lot. Moving on to the 5th house, Karaka being Jupiter. And what is this? Mind as creative intelligence, as knowledge, as education, as memory, talents, as judgment, as discretion, as advice, as virtues. Mind as all of this. Ruling powers, royalty, authority. Jupiter is very authoritarian, and this is the house of Leo. That's why it's coming as authority. Royalty and authority is both Jupiter and Sun. It can also signify fall from position if it is negative. Literary works, why? Education, Jupiter. Amusements, creativity, sense of romance and love. 5th house is also the house of romance. Children, it signifies children because Jupiter is the Karaka for children. Students, wealth, prosperity, nature of spouse, all this is governed by the 5th house. Body parts being stomach, liver and bladder, the middle portion of your abdomen. We can also call it the navel chakra because navel chakra governs the sense of self. Your sense of self and creative intelligence is very high in the 5th house. Relatives become children, younger brother or sister. Maturity age of the house becomes 46 to 51 years, quite late in life. That's why this age group are the mature ones to teach because they are highly creative and they have learnt lessons through life. The 6th house, Bhava, Karaka is Mars. There's the 6th house. Mind as daily work, activity in the world, urge for perfection because you're doing daily work. Think of Mars. Self-improvement techniques, competitive power, Mars. Turning obstacles into opportunity, Mars. Difference of opinion, enemy. Conflicts, deaths, diseases, suffering, wounds, Mars. Service, daily service, again Mars. Daily job, Mars. Imprisonment, quadrupeds, pet animals. Pet animals come from Mars. They are friends. Receiving charity. 12th house being giving charity. This is receiving charity. Worries and anxieties and obstacles, enemies, thieves, vices, challenges. Well, Mars is considered malefic in the 6th house. Body parts being navel area below the stomach, intestines and digestive tract. So if you have lots of enemies and worries going on, you have digestive issues. Relatives, mother's brother, maternal uncle and stepmother. That's why the term, I guess, comes stepmotherly treatment. Maturity age of the house is 52 to 57 years. Beyond this, a person really stops worrying after 52 to 57 years. Their house has come to maturity. That's what it means when we say the house is mature. The 7th house, the house of the spouse, mind as the sense of an intimate partner. Husband, wife, partner, lover, marriage, partnership, sexual affairs. Medium-term desires. Business partner is also there. The self and the other. Cooperation. How do you cooperate? Trade and commerce. Travel. Journeys. Litigation. Living abroad. Because 1st house becomes homeland. 7th house becomes opposite of that. Living abroad. Nature of spouse. Relationship with all others. The world at large as seen by the self. Happiness from children also comes in this. Because the Karaka is Venus. It wants to give all these things. That's 7th house over there. Relatives, husband, wife, 2nd child, business partners, 3rd younger brother or sister. Maturity age of the house 58 to 65 years. If people last in the marriage for this long, they would have been really mature. They know everything about the spouse and they accept them. Acceptance comes around this time. The 8th house, Bhava, again we come to the house of loss. Loss of material, gain of spirituality, the deep hidden secrets. Saturn is everything hidden. Saturn governs everything underground, including oil and gas, underground. Many people in oil and gas industry are governed heavily by Saturn. Mind as a sense of intimacy, because 8th house is the gain of the 7th house, the marriage. So intimacy, vulnerability. It's a vulnerable house. Bhava is very vulnerable. Longevity, because it also stands for death, so longevity of life. Transformation, 8th house is the house of transformation where things go begin to go from material towards the occult. The mechanics of nature, the cognition of structuring dynamics of consciousness. So one really begins understanding consciousness in starting from the 8th bhava. Until that time, everything is pretty much material. From the 8th bhava starts the real moksha. Well, 4th house is also moksha, but in a sattvic way. The real transformation begins in the 8th house, when person has losses, sudden gains, sudden losses, death happening in their relationships. So this is when these become transformative forces to a person. Till then they are pretty much stuck wherever they are. So, transcendence, psychic abilities, regeneration, rebirth, discontinuation, dangers, chronic illnesses, agonies, accidents, enemies, mode of death, wealth of spouse. 2nd house being self-earned wealth, 8th house is the opposite of that. So it becomes wealth of the spouse, the other person. Unearned wealth, lottery tickets, inheritance, underground places, like I said, oil and gas industry, hidden treasures, everything hidden. Saturn is everything hidden. Saturn is lord of the shadow world, the dark world. Mysteries of life and death, overseas journeys. Again, 2nd being at home, 8th being going out. Body parts as external sexual organs. Relatives being family members of spouse. 2nd house is your family members. 8th becomes the opposite, family members of spouse, after the 7th. Maturity age of the house is 66 years and beyond. By now you know, by this age you pretty much know what occult and all those things stand for. The 9th house, 9th bhava, is Karaka is Jupiter, which gives mind as a sense of wisdom, as a sense of teacher. The higher sense of duty, support of nature, good karmas from past lives figure here. Fortunes, wisdom, study of esoteric sciences, philosophy of life, meditation, worldview. 9th house has a big worldview of all acceptance of all cultures. Faith, religion, worship, morality, ethics, higher education if people want to do PhDs. Professional training, teachers even, children, solution to problems, foreign travels and air travels. These are the qualities of a bhava. Okay, as we are going through the qualities of a bhava, body parts, relatives and maturity. Body parts stand for hips and thighs. Relatives can become children, grandchildren, brothers, wife's brother. 4th younger brother or sister. So we are going on graduating towards different kinds of relatives here. Maturity age of the house is 1 to 24 years. This should tell you that the person, when they are born, from 1 to 24 years, they are developing this deep qualities within them. This is why a person, when they are younger, they are more impressionable. Okay? The 10th house, co-ruled by all these guys. Not ruled, sorry, I keep coming back to rule. Karakas are Sun, Mercury and Saturn. Mind as a sense of success, as fame, as accomplishment in the world, activity, occupation, profession, career, reputation, prestige, success, status in society, honor from government, promotion, rank, renown, fame, ambition, authority, what you gain in your career, authority, royalty, ruling power, sense of importance. What's your sense of importance in the world, external world? Dignity, living in foreign lands, commerce, trade and clothing. Okay. So body parts being, this 10th is knees, thighs and knees actually. This is wrong. Relatives, children, grandchildren, brother's wife, wife's brother. I think this, if you got it wrong, I think it will be grandparents here. Maturity age of the house is 25 to 26 years. This, in this age, it really solidifies what your sense of ambition is, where you want to go. Most people have finished graduation by this time. So they are going out into the world and activating their 10th bhava. The 11th house, again, Karaka being Jupiter. So what is this? Mind as a sense of achievement in the world, income, gains, profits, all articles, prosperity, long-term desires. Your sense of prosperity is really coming from the 11th house. Fulfillment of your desires, material desires, fulfillment of dreams and ambitions in life, This is the house of dreams. If you want to know whether your dreams are going to be fulfilled or not, check the 11th house. Good news, auspicious events, elder brothers and sisters, air travel. Going abroad also is part of 11th house. Social circle of friends. This is big on social media. House of Aquarius. Social community and club life. Body parts being calves and ankles. Relatives, elder brother, sister, son's wife. Maturity age between 27 and 28 years. This is when you start developing the 11th house. The last one, the 12th house, again governed by Saturn, the house of losses. Mind that's the 12th house over there. Mind is a sense of renunciation from the world. Expenses. Renunciation is what? Withdrawing from the material world. Expenses, losses, wastes, loss of relativity, gain of spirituality. Look at that, loss of relativity, gain of spirituality. So Saturn is like a hard Karaka of spirituality. Giving spiritual knowledge by the way of giving difficulties, disease, death, taking you away from the material realm. And yet, this is the contradiction in Saturn, yet it wants to do everything physically. Saturn is a gaseous planet which wants to become physical. That's the energy of it. Loss of identification, donations, charity, journey to far off distant lands, isolated places, confinement in prison or hospital, monastery, all are isolated places. Hidden life, including hidden sleep and sexual activity. Foreign residence, dreams, meditative state, it helps you meditate. Lack of materialism, hidden strengths and weaknesses, hidden enemies. Intuitive and psychic people come from Saturn. Intuitive and psychic can mean going towards higher dimensions or lower dimensions. Just be wary of this. If you're talking about Saturn, you're going into the lower dimensions, into the, like being a psychic or a medium or contacting ghosts and that kind of a thing. Negative entities maybe. Jupiter on the other hand gives you higher aspect, because Jupiter is we are talking about the sign of Pisces. Jupiter gives you the higher aspect, Saturn gives you the lower aspect. Body parts is feet. Relatives, paternal uncle, maturity age is between 29 and 30. Now keep this as a reference. That's why I have left the video part out, because I want you to save it and come back to the slides whenever you want, because we are going into the more into advanced stages of discussing progressive astrology. So as we go higher and higher, you can keep coming back to this video and keep taking notes or screenshots or whatever you feel like. It will help you. This is like a guide. Okay. So next we will discuss Bhavat Bhavam, one of my favorite concepts.